Well, I mean, as any nonprofit, I like this. My philosophy is we're not a corporation. We're not here to create a sustainability for board members or directors or Wall Street. I mean, we're not here for that. We're here to attack an issue, to resolve it, if it can be resolved. And my hope is that one day we don't need to be here. That it already is part of 100% part of what our community is multicultural, is understanding how to take any community member, understand where they're at, give them the resources and get them up and running. So eventually, if we have enough of our community members engaged, for example, if we have enough of the Guatemalan community that are now professionals, and enough of the Honduran that are professionals, and the Pakistani that are professionals. If you walk in and see doctors are from Mexico and from Ecuador and from Pakistan, but they're now fully engaged Americans, there's not going to be much need for us if they're at that level. But if that community stays at the level of gardeners and restaurant workers, we're going to have to be here for a long time, unfortunately, and we don't want that. So the more we can get this second generation or even first generation up and engaged and part of everything, then we can hopefully take a step back and pursue, as individuals, other tasks too. Luckily, one of the first things we're able to do is get in with the elementary school and with the students as kind of a gateway to these families. So that's what's been leading a lot of our baseline data, is tracking the success of these students at an early age. So what we've been able to show from 2 years of solid data is that getting children involved and getting their families involved does show there is a direct correlation to their academics. So obviously if they're involved in 2 or 3 activities, their English is going to improve on many different levels because they're speaking in different environments with different types of people. And then their comprehension is going to, because they're not just focusing on one subject in a day, maybe they're focusing on 2 or 3 different subjects they wouldn't normally. So we've been able to show that correlation through independent studies, that what we're doing to get children at least and their families more involved is having a positive effect academically. With our partnership with the schools, we're able to look at their quarterly and semester and yearly advances, whether it's with their reading levels or with their state assessments, and then we compare that statistically with number of days participating and number of different activities. So we've been getting involved more with the YMCA and with the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, so we see the more they're doing soccer and other types of programs, we're going to see a direct correlation with their progress in school. So when we work with our elementary school program, about 80% is Hispanic, but 20% is African American. So that's another thing we need to do, is make sure all cultures here are able to feel comfortable with each other. And racism is alive and well. Even all these other countries and all these other cultures, racism is alive and well. So people maybe from Libya don't feel comfortable working with someone from Pakistan at first. Someone from Mexico might not feel comfortable working with somebody from Haiti at first. I mean, those are things that naturally exist in those countries as well. So to be able to face it and say, this is our community. We're not talking about black or white historical, we're talking about how to build a healthy community. We approach it that way, and you get people to sit together and talk, automatically those barriers are broken down. But you have to actively get those people to sit and talk. It's not going to naturally happen. So unless you have forces in the community that are paying attention to that, those walls will start to grow and that separation will divide, and that will only lead to problems. So if we can keep those walls down, keep the communication flowing, the comfortability, the issues will just resolve on their own. But that's an active process, it's not a passive process. Once we can make sure that we're getting people to obviously be economically sustainable, engaged, feeling comfortable, we need to push that so they are getting up into that leadership level. So that's short term. We're talking 5-10 years. We want to, as a goal, we won't be successful if we don't have these members understanding that their voice needs to be heard on town council or student councils or school boards. If we don't do that, if we take a step back and just let the traditional community only have their voice represented, you know, we're going to have all this segregation continuing, and we'll still have to be there, unfortunately, fighting for that.
We're on camera! Is that on television? No, we're going to be on website.
It's going to be on the Talbot Spot.